Hey everyone, this is Alex from Bakersfield, and welcome to Huell's Gold.
Well, folks, we're back. We took a little break. We needed it.
We done breaking?
Yeah. It's Huell's Gold. I'm Chris.
I'm Alan.
And this is the podcast all about Huell Hauser, California's Gold. You know it. If you're listening by now, you got to know what it is. I remember listening to podcasts years and years into it, and like every single time they would do this intro thing, we're far from professionals.
Yeah, that's true. And... well, I don't know. How many first-time listeners do you think we get?
Well, hundreds, but...
millions, yeah.
No, but like, if you click the link, you know what this is.
Yeah.
It's all about our main man, Huell. And, we took a week off because we were both out of town at the same time, both on wife birthday trips.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Paso, Robles, wine tasting. I ain't a wine guy, but I was a designated driver. I tried one. I knew the peer pressure was coming. I tried one.
Is it Zinfandel?
No. Shoot, I don't know. Maybe. Erin and her friend Elaine, who went with us, would always like to say to the person, like, "Oh, he doesn't like wine, like he doesn't get it," kind of a thing. And they'd always be like, "Oh, well, try this one. It's really like, like a kind of a wimpy wine," I think is what they were getting at. And when I tried, I was like, okay, because it tasted like grape juice, so I was cool with it. And you were...
It's like a hard grape juice?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, technically. Where were you, Highland Park?
Highland Park, yeah.
And for Kathleen's birthday.
Yeah, we're just a getaway. We stayed at this Airbnb we've wanted to stay at for a while.
Yeah, and
I guess it has a name.
Like it's a place?
Green Sputnik? I don't know.
Oh, it's not just... this is like a destination
I think it's
Airbnb.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, sure.
That's almost like how Huell Hauser's house has become rentable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a location, even though it's not through Airbnb, but the concept is the same.
Yeah, but Highland Park was super fun.
Okay, I got a couple questions about this place.
Okay.
One, does it feel LA-ish? Because it's a little out of the way.
I don't know how to describe it. I can only describe it in our terms.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you can translate this.
Okay.
It would be as if Oleander, as it exists now, had hip stuff.
Okay.
But it was the same quality
of
housing and same... So I don't know, how would you describe that? I mean, it does feel like Los Angeles, like no doubt.
Okay.
Although, the hills are gnarly. I know it's funny, it's Highland, Highland Park, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's the places we were staying, mega hills. Like San Francisco hills, some of them.
Okay, so Oleander is a neighborhood in Bakersfield, and it is probably best known for having a lot of these bungalow-style houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I've looked in Highland Park, not just like online, and that is the kind of style I think it has, is California, either craftsman style or bungalow style architecture of the houses. But our Oleander neighborhood, it's just a neighborhood. It's like a square mile of houses. There's no... Well, there's a 7-Eleven.
But I would say there's businesses on the end, like on Oak, and then on H.
Those.
I'm saying like that's how that would be.
If
that was cool and hip. But it's kind of a trippy thing, and it's not a bad thing. But it's not the highest quality of housing stock or building stock.
No, I get it. Neither is Oleander here.
Right, and it doesn't matter because
it's
make
the
it cool.
aesthetic.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, that's selling me because I've always heard about this place from actually one of my podcast kind of inspirations, Mark Maron, who does his show WTF out of his house in Highland Park. And I've always wanted to go there, but I always wondered, like, beyond creeping up on this celebrity's house, which I have done. No, not really. I look at filming location houses in LA, but not actual celebrity houses. That's weird. I didn't know what there would be to go there for.
Well, I know that there's a decent record store. It's on 2 sites. It's called Permanent Records.
Yeah. Obviously, I heard
we
that.
went to. I think it's Highland Bowl or something. You could go bowling. It's a nice bowling alley. We ended up going to. Where do we go? We went to Burger Lords.
Yeah, you told me about that.
There's a play on Burger King, I'm guessing. I don't know. That's what I went with.
I guess.
But it was kind of like In-N-Out, but they have vegan options. And you can drink a Topo Chico with your In-N-Out style food. It was cool, though. Everyone was super nice. And then we hung a left just to walk around and see what was around that neighborhood or that area. And we saw Eric from Tim and Eric.
Eric Wareheim?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me this.
He's a tall boy.
He's big. He's a big old boy.
He was eating it was in front of Birdie, like cafe or something. It's like a brunch spot.
He's a food boy too, right?
Okay.
On his Instagram, he was always going to these crazy places in France and Italy and stuff. That's cool. Celebrity sighting.
Yeah. And then what did we do? We were only there for like 2 days, but darn.
It sounds either way.
It was fun.
Good.
It was fun. We just walked around. Oh, we went to Donut Friend.
Yeah.
Which Baby Chico.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy was asking what we got. I got the Papi Gandhi. Gandhi. They had a Husker Blue donut that you probably or Husker Blue. Sorry,
Husker Blue.
Actually, the guy in front of us. I got a funny story about that. His girlfriend. She obviously is not into that kind of music.
Okay.
Right, but he is.
As most people
and so
in
they're
this
more
world
like
are,
opposites attract.
Yeah.
And she walks in, because I always make this mistake too. I call him Husker Du. Okay? It's just what comes out, because...
Hey, whatever.
You know.
It's just a band. This is a band, for people who don't know. Husker Du is
that's
a band. It's a punk band
I like
from
how
the
I assume
80s.
that everyone knows who the band is from the 80s. Yeah.
I mean, they got signed to a major label in the 90s, and they had one hit, sorta, that you might recognize, but... So...
She was in front. She's like, "Ooh, I don't know. What about this Husker Blue donut?" He goes, "Babe, it's Husker."
I think most people may be most familiar with the phrasing of Husker Du from Joe Dirt, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Some Husker Do's, some Husker Don'ts. Oh man.
Oh dude, yeah. So we did that, and then we're gonna head over to Collage Coffee. Super closed.
Coffee, whatever.
And then Kathleen, there were some bloggers that have something on York. I think this is York. And then we walked Occidental campus because we know someone there.
You act like when you explained this to me or your trip before, you acted like you guys didn't do much of anything. Like you're telling me all this new stuff right now that I didn't even know you did.
I thought I was keeping it as a surprise for this.
Oh, okay.
So we walked on Occidental's campus, and as you know, Obama went there.
He did, yeah.
Huell did an episode.
You'll be hearing about that in a long old time because it's many years down the road.
The nice campus.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then the next day we went to basically Pasadena.
Oh, yeah.
Just up the road.
Went through there.
Yeah. And we did some stuff there and we came home.
Well, did you swim in any pools by any chance?
Did I swim in any pools?
Yeah.
That's a negative.
Bro, that would have been a great segue if you had. Neither did I.
Hey, but how about this? I thought about it.
Thought about pools?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, I have to more than I want to.
Yeah, there was one in particular I was thinking about. The Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel pool.
Who'd have thunk that would be the one that we start this
that's
episode
perfect.
on? Yeah, so California pools. This is the episode. It's funny because I got all this kind of useless pool knowledge from being in the pool business for 16 years. None of it is really going to be necessarily super relevant to this episode, but whatever. If we want to talk about the filtration systems and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel pool, I guess, is a big deal, which I wouldn't have thought anything of it. It's just another hotel pool, but that It's a historic landmark.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what Huell said. Because it's the bottom, like the deck, not the deck, but the actual vessel of the pool is painted by legendary artist David Hockney. Which there's an episode where Huell goes to David Hockney's studio and spends the whole day there.
Oh, okay.
And
he's still alive.
Is he?
I just checked up on him. He's like 81 years old. Yeah.
Oh. He
still
looked
kicking.
old in the episode, but I guess people just look old sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Louis mentions in his book, or he mentioned it at one of the talks we went to, that he was really proud of that show for like him and Huell together because it's almost one continuous shot, like 30 minutes, never cutting.
Like Birdman.
I didn't
I
see
don't know
that.
about
Is that a thing?
I think they did continuous scenes that were real long.
Okay.
That's all I got. I'm going to look it up. You got me
I know.
self-conscious about it.
No, I believe you. I do remember that being a thing, but I don't remember that. I mean, I never saw that movie.
Oh, well then okay. Well, Michael Keaton's one of my favorite guys.
Your favorite Batman, then, I'm guessing?
Well, his best... I'm not going to dwell on Michael Keaton, but not Batman, no. Frasier.
Oh, as the
Holy Roller.
Uh-huh. Is he a cousin?
He's Lilith's brother.
Lilith's brother. Yeah, that's right. So
Blaine.
the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, it's one of those places that you see like on the freeway. I think you can see it on the I-5 or 101 when you're driving through. I've never been there. Have you been there?
No.
Yeah. Maybe one day. I don't know. It's a Hollywood kind of landmarky place, but either way, we're going to be hitting some super famous pools, so let's just get to it. Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Opening ceremonies. It was a big deal. The 1932 Olympics in Los Angeles. Lots of civic pride and a big new Coliseum built just for the occasion. They built something else, too. You can see it back in the back there, just behind the Coliseum. A swimming complex built for the Olympic swimming and diving competition. A state-of-the-art facility. And during those 1932 Olympics, this pool was the site of some exciting races. Some won by the visiting Japanese. Some won by the Americans, like Buster Crabbe before his Tarzan days. The stands were packed every day, and this pool was a focal point of Olympic activity. Well, these days the stands are empty. But guess what? The original 1932 Olympic pool is still there. It's called the L.A. Swim Stadium. It's operated by the Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks, open to the public. And early one morning before the swimmers arrived, I was given a tour of this very grand and very historic swimming facility by Dr. Sammy Lee, who won Olympic diving gold and bronze medals, and whose association with this pool goes way back.
So we forgot to mention the theme. We were talking about ourselves too
Your
much, I
second
guess.
favorite
Favorite.
favorite theme.
My second least, actually. That was not my favorite style of music that was played this.
The what was it? The Jessica Rabbit rendition.
I was trying to think of a way to call it like this Hollywood-esque singing style, but with the ukulele, it's such a weird mix. I don't get it. Jessica Rabbit, though. It's so funny. Oh, man. So, okay, beyond that, we are at the Olympic Coliseum and Pool / LA Swim Stadium. Basically, the Olympic pool that was used in the 1932 Olympics. I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure, tell me if you looked it up, that pool was not used for the 84 Olympics in LA. I think they had an indoor pool by that time.
I don't know that yet.
I didn't know. I was literally being born as that Olympics was happening. So
I'm sorry. The first thing that hits me when I hear Coliseum
yeah,
is Money Talks.
Money
When he
Talks.
brings the diamonds to the Coliseum. Have you seen Money Talks?
Which one is
It
that?
was Chris Tucker.
Yeah, like years ago. I don't really
It's
remember.
one of my favorite movies too. Love it.
You always bring up like these weird 90s B movies.
When the bus in the beginning, when it explodes and he screams, he does his Fifth Element scream.
I need to rewatch this. It's funny too because you brought up Last Action Hero like 15 times on this show.
Yeah. How deep of a movie that actually is.
Andrew, who was on our Taft Oil episode, was like chastising me for not having seen it. Like I had missed out on such a huge milestone in my childhood.
Yeah, you did. A little bit.
That dude didn't go to Disneyland until he was 18, and he's getting on my case.
I'm the same way, though.
I know.
Maybe this is how we...
I think both of you are like, didn't watch Star Wars guys, too.
Yeah.
Get off my back. It's Last Action Hero.
It's so good, first of all.
Has it even been released on DVD? Do I have to get a VCR? Like I don't have.
How do we
watch
watch
in
it
there to watch my California's
Maybe
Gold
it's
tapes?
HBO. Do you have HBO Go or something?
I do.
I think it has it on. It's
Okay.
on there. I don't know.
So this pool, I'm going to be honest. This is the most boring pool of the episode.
I don't know. Maybe the one that doesn't exist at the end.
Right. Of the existing pools. I mean, because it really is just an Olympic swimming pool. It's cool that LA kept it around and kept it up and kind of turned it into a usable park type, like a Parks and Rec pool. We get to the tour from old Richard Godino. What do you think of this guy? Because I got an opinion of him. I don't want to like sully your thoughts before I talk.
I don't really have... I'm more looking at the guy on the left, the silent partner.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's describe these homeboys. Okay. Richard Godino, he's from the Parks and Rec department. He's dressed in kind of like a jumpsuit type thing, like a khaki coverall. But he looks like a guy who maybe, just maybe, actually hogtied the real Richard Godino, and he's locked in some shed, and this guy just took his spot because he's wearing these old school Vans that just don't fit.
Yeah, I didn't.
And the mustache.
I didn't
and
even notice the Vans, actually.
Mm-hmm. And then the silent partner, he's got like this kind of mulleted hair with no sideburns.
No,
look.
dude. That's the soccer haircut these days.
What are you talking about?
Cut on the sides?
Is that the thing?
I don't know. I think so. A little bit. Used to be.
Either way.
Well, here's the thing. What if that was the real Richard Godino?
What? I was trying to think of something. There's a... What is it? Oh, I think it's that Banksy documentary I'm thinking of.
Uh-huh.
Where
he's there?
No, this is a while ago. It's the Exit Through the Gift Shop thing where it's all about this artist who kind of ripped off Banksy style and is getting famous for it.
Oh, okay.
But some people think that he's just like a facade that Banksy is selling his art through, kind of a thing.
Oh, okay.
I may be kind of misquoting that. I haven't seen it in a while.
I thought this was something... Because the guy was actually there, you know, when his art sold and then it was immediately shredded.
Oh, that, yeah.
And they think that he was there.
Yeah, I bet
it.
he was.
I think this is Richard Godino that's just silent.
And we're like watching this odd kind of performance art go on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Huell's going to come. Wait a minute. What if you pretend to be me? And then it's almost like Andy Kaufman where no one knows there's a joke going on except him and the other guy, Bob Zamuda. Oh, man.
Well,
that would liven this whole segment up so much.
It'd be so awesome.
Because this is kind of just a pool.
The only thing I could find on Richard here is that he and basically he apparently didn't follow department protocol and lost about $2,000. He was given a 10-day suspension, but it was reversed. it was considered too harsh, and that's the only, I couldn't find anything on this guy besides that. I feel bad because I wanted to say, oh, he's still, involved, but I couldn't find anything.
He's still swimming the pool at the Olympic Coliseum.
He did give us one piece of information, though.
I like this. I did like
your favorite is that there's a lion's heads, right?
Uh-huh.
He's all what he called them. I thought it was going to have a special name. He's like, Huell, these are called fountains.
And the close up on this little lion head, it's like, yeah, no kidding, Rich. Of course they're fountains.
He said on the back you could drink, water, and then Huell just, this doesn't even work. Blows him up.
Oh, man. No, the other statistic that he said that actually was kind of interesting was that the whole place was built out of beach sand that they took from the L.A. beaches.
That's one of those threads that strings through this episode is how Californian some of this stuff is that's happening. Because that's what Huell says.
Yeah.
Because it was a WPA project, right? The whole Coliseum was, which was interesting. So you dropped that fact, too. So that's the first element, and then we'll get to
the
why.
other California elements.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like, this is a pretty quick little spot. That's sort of it.
Yeah, I was hoping
there's one
more,
thing. We didn't even mention Dr. Sammy
I was
Lee.
going to say, I was hoping the tiny guy would have, more to add. But, I mean, he had a gold medal, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And he got his medical he's an MD from USC. Turns out he's an ears, nose, and throat doctor.
Oh.
Your favorite.
Sure. I could use one right now with the allergies I've been dealing with. All these super blooms making a super plume of pollen in my face. No, I wanted to mention that he said that this whole pool was so state of the art, and that's why records were being broken in it.
Oh,
because
yeah,
it had
right.
no backwash, and this is the only.
Yeah, let's hear
this is the only pooly thing. That's not right, Sammy. Exactly, because in pool speak, a backwash is a way to reverse the flow of the water through a filter to clean it. It not having a backwash is actually detrimental to this filtration system, because any pool that's over a certain size almost exclusively has a sand filtration system.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 main filtering types of pool filters. There's cartridges that look like these little pleated cylindrical cartridges of kind of like stiff cloth. There's the sand that I just mentioned, which is straight up just play sand that you would buy for a sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is diatomaceous earth, which is almost like did you ever make some sort of like paper mache type project in elementary school where you had like pulpy newspaper kind of thing? I don't know how else to describe it. It's just this very super, super fine stuff. It's actually like a mineral.
Yeah, people use it. They use it to like try to kill fleas and people in their house and stuff. That's all I've known.
We'll be talking about killing fleas with weird things later, like in a couple weeks or next week or something.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for that. But no, it's this very fine powder that when it's applied to these kind of grid things, it gets down to such a fine micron that it can actually like almost filter out different larger molecules out.
Oh, well.
It's also illegal in a lot of states because when you wash it out and it gets in the water system, it's like contaminates stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
that's okay though.
Yeah. This thing definitely had a sand filter and definitely needed a backwash.
See, what I understood from Dr. Sammy's explanation here is I thought people were breaking records. I'm obviously just a dumb person over here. I thought because there's no backwash, it was sucking them faster. No one can see my hand motions, but it's just pulling. Yeah. So, you broke a record. Cool. You got sucked towards the other
boost
side
from the suck. No, I don't think so. Anyway, it's not like one of those swim spas where it's got this big jet engine on the side, like whooshes the water, so you're swimming but you're staying in place.
Well, Dr. Lee, I'm gonna call him. I think I'm going by Dr. Lee. He can't defend himself because he died. So good job attacking him there. But I will say that he is from Fresno.
Oh,
so he was a Valley boy, and he passed to Newport Beach.
Well, moving on up, I guess.
So
or down if you're talking geography.
I thought you meant like the afterlife, but that's different.
Oh no!
Hey,
I'm sure, homeboy.
If
you get a gold medal, unless you cheated.
What about that old style of diving?
That's what you go to. Oh, because he was a diver.
Yeah, he's a diver.
He wasn't even a swimmer. Yeah, it doesn't seem efficient.
But it's how it used to be done.
Hey,
and
whatever.
Guess what? You know what? He was the best at it. He was a world champion.
For 4 years, he was the best diver in the world.
It is crazy.
So weird to think. Okay, so this was probably the most athletic pool of the episode here.
There was one more thing.
Was there?
Where that shallow pool was, there was actually
true.
grandstands, or is that what you'd call it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Over that for the Olympics, and then it was removed.
It's funny that they did have here's what I thought of that, because if you ever watch the swimming portions of Olympics now, there's always like, especially the divers, they'll do their dive and then they go like hang out in the jacuzzi area for a while, which I don't, there's probably some athletic reason they do it. It's not just to chill out. I bet that was part of their little like, hey, we gotta like soothe our muscles before we swim kind of thing that was inside that stadium seating. And then they're like, oh, well, let's just make it into a lap pool for the kiddies once we're done.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Either way, like I said, that was the most athletic pool. And then we go to probably the most famous and aesthetically pleasing pool maybe ever.
Ever?
Let's hear what Huell has to say about it.
It sits on top of a hill, up in the clouds. The magnificent Hearst Castle, built between 1919 and 1947 by William Randolph Hearst. This is truly a castle. Located in San Simeon on our state's central coast, these days it's one of our state parks, and it's also the location of one of the most beautiful swimming pools, not only in our state, but in the entire world, period.
See, I told you, Huell is really...
It's super intense, yeah.
Period. This is it. So, come on. If you haven't seen this pool, if you haven't even like been to it, you must have seen somewhere, even in the Lady Gaga video from like 3 years ago that she swam in it. The Neptune pool of Hearst Castle. Mm-hmm. Have you been there?
No.
Oh. I thought you had.
No, we tried to get tickets to the Holiday Lights, and it was schlommied months ahead of time.
Yeah, Aaron and I went there, like a year and a half ago, and we had always wanted to go. Neither of us had ever been in our lives, and we finally just went on like the main tour, and we were in the midst of trying to buy a house. And we go on the tour. It was Aaron's birthday 2 years ago. And we were doing, Central Coast stuff. And that was one of the things. And while we're on the tour, we get the call from our real estate agent that the bid we put on the house that we're standing in or sitting in right now was they had thrown a counteroffer at us. And I think maybe partially we took the offer on the house because we were like in like, oh, what a cool house mode in a way. And Hearst Castle is white, and so is the house that we now own
so it's
too.
like your Hearst Castle.
Yeah. It obviously like super, super scaled down, but
I don't know. No one knows where we record. So this place is pretty fancy.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's definitely the biggest, best house in Bakersfield.
Oh, yeah.
Because we make all this money doing this show.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's funny because not only did that happen, so that was a spot where we decided to buy this house that we're in. Me being I've worked in the pool industry for almost 20 years. Of course, I wanted to see this Neptune pool. It's empty.
It's empty?
It's empty. It had been empty for a couple years because they were doing a complete remodel of it.
So you saw the white bottom?
Yeah, I did. In fact, I saw the white bottom being repaired. And me being in this kind of industry, it was cool to me to see that. Like how they were doing very similar things that I've seen and even been a part of being done on this gigantic fancy scale. Because the bottom of the pool is not plaster or fiberglass, which is the two main, it was like quartz and stuff too, but the two main
peasant materials.
Yeah. Yeah. The bottom is marble.
That's so crazy.
And they were saying that they pulled marble to do this remodel from the same what are they, like quarries, marble quarries in Italy or wherever the heck it is, to do the remodel. So it looked exactly the same as it did 100 years ago when they built it. Speaking of building this thing, did you catch when this was built? Did they say it?
No, I don't.
Well, Hearst
I know
Castle,
it was in the 30s. So.
Yeah, that's just when the whole place was built. So that's the general thing. What do you think about, first, Huell's over-exuberance, I think, it's warranted in a way. I mean, this is a fancy pool.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think of old James Allen, our tour guide?
You have something in mind. Maybe I'll just piggyback on that. He has this like calm excitement.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because I think maybe he's jaded. He sees this pool every day.
Yeah.
To him, this is it's the Neptune. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Dude, this guy is still, speaking of Jimmy over here, it's kind of weird. It's my brother's name and my name. It's kind of weird.
That's true.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So he is still with this property.
Mm-hmm.
He is the director of communications now. And he's apparently still alive because as of 2018, an article was published. I think that's October 18. And he was given 15 reasons why, Hearst Castle's cool. Or secret spots in Hearst Castle, I should say.
Well, it's funny because he's actually going to be in another episode of California's Gold years down the line.
Mm-hmm. What do you got?
Well, this pool is going to be featured again. Huell loved it so much. And it is I think it's one of the pivotal episodes of California's Gold because it showed Huell getting to benefit from his celebrity, because he never really does it in the show at all. But there's an episode where, and we'll talk about the whole swimming in the pool aspect, where he gets to swim in the pool.
Oh, the arc is complete.
Yeah, because, well, we'll just talk about that part now, I guess, the swimming in the pool part of it. Because that's what Huell really leans into James about. What's the $1 million question, though? Can you swim in it? And James is him and Han, and Huell's so no. Well, just not right now. Not right now. We never know in the future.
Yeah.
Or you don't know what the future holds. Yeah. Well, we do. And Huell does get to belly flop in that old pool.
So... Now, did you notice when he was talking about the Coliseum when it was built,
mm-hmm.
he said, what did he say? People had to swim in the pool. No, it was, swam in the pool. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Skipped a beat there. That it was, what's his name? The Tarzan. The original Tarzan. It was Buster Crabbe.
Yeah. And then he was an Olympian.
He was an Olympian. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. And I thought it was interesting that he mentioned Tarzan. Because when he's asking Jimmy here,
mm-hmm.
he's saying, hey, who swam in this pool? And he rattles off most obscure names to me.
Some random
oldies from the 30s. And he mentioned Douglas Fairbanks Jr.
Yeah.
Then he says, Calvin and Grace Coolidge.
Former president, first lady.
Yeah, then he mentions Johnny Weissmuller.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that right?
That sounds right. That sounds. He said
yeah,
in the show. Yeah.
Okay. And I was thinking, Buster Crabbe played Tarzan.
Yeah.
And so did old Johnny.
It's so weird.
So we got segments back to back and 2 generations of Tarzans. The reason I bring that up,
both swimmers.
Schwimmers.
Not David Schwimmer.
Not David Schwimmer. Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's what's cool. He swam in this pool. This is a castle, Hearst Castle.
Yeah.
Turns out Johnny built his own castle in Lake Elsinore. No, not castle, but it was a really nice house.
Uh-huh.
It's not Amy Semple McPherson's castle.
Yeah.
It was a nice house. So Tarzan lived in Lake Elsinore.
I remember you guys telling me about that. There's 2 kind of big weird claims to fame. One is that big McPherson house, and then that Tarzan lived
Yeah,
in
that's
Elsinore.
and so Tarzan was here. Maybe he said, "You know what? I want a view of some water. Build my house on this hill."
Maybe not the ocean like Hearst, but
No, like Elsinore.
let me get that lake.
I will say, I think they raised his house though in 2015. It was pretty
right.
beat up.
R.I.P. Dr. Lee and the house.
Yep.
What a shame. Well, Hearst Castle is definitely never going to get torn down. This pool, here's some stats on it. First off, the sculptures that are all around it, which are very well photographed by Louis, are all real Roman sculptures. This is not stuff that was recreated. What's his face? Hearst. He didn't do recreations. Go to Rome. Get me the real ones. This dude is like one of the richest guys in the world at the time. Get me the real thing. And then even the columns, they were what, 4th century AD?
Well, CE if you want to be
Yeah. True.
a historian, right?
Um,
Yeah, dude, they're from the 4th century. And then the statue of Neptune,
like
from the 16th century, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this guy just has a patchwork of ancient memorabilia.
That's how the whole place is.
Wilhelm, we get to meet him later. Al,
Yeah.
he calls it ancient ruins. It's kind of just assembled all these ancient ruins together.
I liked the way he kind of pieced the whole property together in one nice little package there. But as far as the actual mechanics of the pool, this thing was heated. It still is. But it was heated back there by these huge oil burners that were down underneath it. And from what I remember, I think that the water itself wasn't actually heated. It was like the vessel of the pool underneath was heated, and that is what heated the water. Because nowadays, a pool heater works just like a water heater in a house, where the water flows through it, it runs past some heating element that heats it up, and then keeps going.
So you're saying the bottom, the marble itself was heated.
It's not like that
Right,
anymore.
that's what it used to be. So if you did a pencil jump into the pool, you touch the bottom, what would happen?
Sizzlefoot.
Sizzlefoot?
I guess. I don't know. I may also be sort of wrong on this, but that's how I remember it being said in the tour that I went on.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So, speaking of tours, Huell runs into a tour. Well, I'm sure he chased down this tour. And what a surprise. Who does he run into?
Bro, okay. First, the first person he runs into, the guy obviously doesn't want to talk.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, he cleans pools.
He passes the buck
Dude,
so hard.
he deflects so hard.
Mhm.
He owns a pool. So what was interesting is that you can tell he's passionate about pools. I mean, he's at least
As much
interested.
as you can, yeah.
As much as you can be. He's interested because he says a few things.
Mm-hmm.
One, well, I'm going to ask the second question first. He says, wow, it's amazing how they keep it so crystal clear.
Yeah.
Is that something that amazes you as well? I mean, you went there's nothing in it, so it was super clear. But if it was as clear as it was on this day,
Yeah.
how does that make
which
you
it is all
feel?
the time.
And what?
Okay, so I always have equated the swimming pool industry as defying nature, because water naturally wants to, or is conducive to create life, or not create life, create an environment for life.
Right.
So the fact that we're able to keep this water that, especially in Bakersfield, that is warmed and just so ready to have algae and other like kind of any sort of organism grow in it, not have that is amazing. We are doing it with poisonous chemicals, like literally mustard gas, which is / chlorine.
Well, life's about trade-offs, so
Right?
you know,
So
nice dip.
it's hard enough to do that with a normal size pool. Now, this is a very nice climate, but it also has a lot of weird old vegetation all around it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can really mess with pools. So whoever's keeping this bad boy clean,
Is it like a trade secret, or is there any way that?
no, because it's the same kind of deal that you would with any sort of, what's it called? Like a Olympic pool that's outdoor. Even the McMurtry here in town, the aquatic center we have, It's very, very meticulous chemical balancing. It's not just adding chlorine. There's lots of other variables in there to keep the chlorine at its peak optimal sanitation capabilities. Okay. My mom has this little spiel when she tells people about how to keep a pool clear. There's filtration, circulation,
annihilation,
chlorination. I just talked about the chlorination. I talked about the filtration earlier. Circulation is actually just keeping the water in motion, because stagnant water is what really gets things going. So this thing probably has a big old pump on it, or pumps that are constantly on, because electricity is probably no problem, or was to old Randy, William Randolph Hearst.
Willie Randy,
Bill Randy. So keeping that water in motion, and you can tell it's in motion because the top is ripply all the time. So that is a whole part of it.
Okay, so that's the first question. Learned a bunch there.
Yeah.
Okay, and the second question is, he said, it was something along the lines of how much it would cost to clean this pool.
Yeah, I would charge a lot per month to clean this bad boy.
Which I think is bound up in the maintenance of the pool, so whatever. But if you had to ballpark it, what would you throw a quote at this person? Old Bill Randy.
Dude. So, first off, because it's just so big and wide and crazy proportions, a normal pool guy couldn't do it with his normal equipment. We got 10-foot poles that go out to 18 feet. Mm-hmm. And that's the extent that we can have any sort of brush or net to clean a pool. This thing's 100 feet across.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some extra sort of very particular equipment that you got to have that they're not high. They've got to have some staffer who's there just on staff all the time.
Okay.
Doing this thing. Because if you notice in all the shots and all the other shots I've ever seen of it, there's never a speck of dirt on this thing. And they're on the top of this windy old hill.
Right.
I can't keep dirt out of a pool that's got nothing around it.
Well, okay, let's say this. Let's just say that if this staff member was working for a pool shop, how many pools do you think this equates to?
I would say 20.
Okay.
We charge, on average,
$99
a month.
So $100, just around it. And this is about 20 pools, you said? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Per month. So about $2,000.
Maybe a person who's really interested in living on premise, you could pay them that. I don't know. I was just wondering. Because I was wondering what he was thinking. Owning a pool shop. Let's just say, I charge $100 a month.
Yeah.
To clean a pool.
I'll bet he was like me. He's like, man, I want to get to that equipment room. I want to see how this thing works.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they've upgraded a ton, but you don't normally get to see this kind of pool in action. So getting to see how they're doing it would be very interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
One other thing that's in addition to this whole thing is that this is just one of the pools that Hearst had.
Okay.
There's an indoor pool that I think is equally as cool as this. It doesn't have the same Roman architectural sculptures and all that stuff at it, but it's so crazy looking. Just because of the color of it, the tile work is insane. It's so cool. And because it's inside, it's reflecting all of this other ornate art kind of architecture onto it in the water. I forget what that one's called. It's got its own little indoor Hearsty name. That one you actually cannot avoid seeing, because that's how you get to the buses to get back down the hill. So anytime you take the tour, you go right by that pool. You can choose to not go inside and look at it. I would suggest you do. Did you just looked it up? What's it called?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. It's thinking. The Roman pool.
Roman pool. And you can see in that picture, even though it's a small picture, there's all that blue mosaic tile work.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
That stuff is good. And there's gold gold leaf everywhere. It's insane. Homeboy was rich, like richer than all the rich people.
See, he could have tied it together because this was modeled after the Roman baths.
Like Huell could have.
And then we could see baths later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another idea.
Oh, well. So, the end of the Hearst thing, we got old Al Wilhelm. You mentioned him earlier.
Yep.
Did you get anything on him?
So, couldn't find much on him at all, like whatsoever. So, my favorite part, though, is he asked the question, a merman? Have you ever seen, right? Have you ever seen I think he said, have you ever seen a merman?
I have in The Little Mermaid.
Oh, well, Zoolander, right? Like,
okay.
But it was crazy because the mermen, I guess, that are lifting up the mermaid.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, you can tell the difference between a mermaid and a merman because a merman has two tails."
Which is like a mer person is already so not possible in so many like anatomical ways, but like just a fish with two tails also.
And look kind of like legs that are underdeveloped.
It's so funny. I mean, it's mythology, whatever.
They're weirdo, like muscly too. It's super funny.
It's like one big quad that doesn't have a bone in it. It's so gross.
That's funny.
There's some good kind of 90s touristy clothes going on. Nothing like super of note. There's a lady with like a puff paint sweatshirt on. I wish I could have seen. It's obviously for some sort of like ski resort kind of a place or something.
Yeah, I was hoping it was an Olympics jacket because that's
that
what they
would've
look
tied
like.
it in,
That'd been awesome.
Either way, like I said, I've only been here once, but the tour guide I had was kind of like, as far as who the person was, very different than Al. It was a very short woman, but also like super knowledgeable. And
was she a character like Al?
In her like a very different way.
Okay.
Yeah. We also were with a large group and a lot of kids. And if there's one thing you got to know about Hearst Castle is you don't touch stuff there. And these kids were a touching. So she was trying her best to be like nice but firm, and it was awkward sometimes, but she kept it locked down.
Well, Al does talk about the pool for a little bit.
Yeah, he sure does.
He lets us know that it's 345,000 gallons of water, well, of crystal clear mountain spring water.
Yeah.
Okay, so like a bunch of Arrowhead bottles, or
no?
Okay,
because I think all the water that's supplied there comes from natural sources because they don't. Well, I mean, where's the plumbing coming from?
Right, that's true. Yeah, and then we have.
Plus, there's fountains all over this whole property. All over.
Yeah. Well, it's a tapered pool.
Mm-hmm. I
guess we'd call it that. It's from 3 feet at one end to 10 feet in the deep end. So the shallow end's 3, deep end's 10, and it's 104 feet in length, which you said.
Yeah.
And another thing that Al talks about is this whole facade, right? This.
Yeah, the big main centerpiece art thing.
And he was saying how there's country music played.
Oh yeah, there's even the clip after the little segment where they show old footage of the castle with that music over top to like give you the idea.
That is the eclectic nature, I think, of California.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the threads, I think, tie it in here from the first segment. But
this is your time. Okay, from the sand building California
this
specific.
This is more like the eclectic nature of it.
Yeah.
And even the people that were there are very interesting in the montage or the little clips that they were playing.
Well, in the montage, you can see that because at the end of the tour I went on, you go into Hearst's private movie theater, and they play a lot of like footage that was shot there. And in the shot, you can see someone pretending to play a guitar with a tennis racket.
Oh,
it's old Charlie Chaplin.
Really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, he went there quite a lot. Brought some different ladies that he was not married to there. Whoops.
Friends? Sisters?
I
don't think he married a sister, right?
I don't know about that.
I'm trying to help him over here, but
yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
They were not his wife.
Yeah,
not cool, Charlie. He seemed like such an innocent guy. That's when you're quiet, you know.
I guess so. Either way.
Anyway, we can end it with this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to leave off what Jimmy Allen says, how he describes it.
Mm-hmm.
He says that Hearst Castle is a feast for the eyes, the senses. It's this extraordinary collection of light and color and line and form, and it's just something to enjoy.
Couldn't put it better than Jimmy.
That's it. Thanks, Jimmy.
On that note, we're heading up north to another place I've been to, and you haven't. You need to get out more.
I do.
Okay, where are we going, Huell?
It must have been something to see. This huge structure made of steel and glass and perched right on the western edge of San Francisco, right up next to the ocean. Built by Adolph Sutro, an engineering genius who made a fortune mining the Nevada silver lode, this place dazzled the public from the very moment it opened in the mid-1890s. Come on, let's go back in time and go inside. Welcome to the Sutro Baths, which held the distinction of being the largest indoor saltwater baths in the entire United States. And if you wonder what it must have been like, well, look at these wonderful old movies made by Thomas Edison back in 1897. These are happy swimmers. And they remained happy, too, well into the next century. And why shouldn't they? There was a lot to do when you visited Sutro Baths, because not only could you swim, you could also walk up the grand staircase, visit the museum, look at stuffed animals. Sutro Baths was the place to be. But times changed, and the baths fell into disrepair, were closed, and finally burned down back in 1966. But today, the site of the Grand Old Baths is part of the Golden Gate National Recreational Area and is open for all of us to visit.
So the baths, huh? Speaking of baths, old Louie Dog needs to take a bath. That fool is stankin'.
Get him out of here.
It's okay. He never stinks too bad. So the Sutro Baths. I have been here, and I didn't know anything about it till I just drove up. My friend Regina, who lived in San Francisco while I lived there, and then stayed living there even though I moved back to Bakersfield. One of the times I went and visited her, she suggested going there, and I had never heard of it, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I thought this thing was like 1,000 years old, because that's what it looks like, right?
Yeah. It's at the same time, though, what makes it difficult in these types of segments is that you really got to use your imagination.
Yeah, and Huell really tried to help us out by showing all those old stock photos and videos of the actual baths, which he kind of explains in the clip that it was just this huge.
You think a health
indoor
department
thing
would let this?
Dude, all this actual seawater that they're just pumping in there. So gross. Oh, man.
But you know what this reminds me of?
No.
The atrium at the Grand Ole Opry
I
in
haven't
Nashville.
been there.
Okay. So it's kind of the same deal, minus the giant pools. So really, it's not really like it. But if there's stores in it, you can stay in there. There's
I get,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
amenities, and there's a museum and all that. So that's the only thing I could try to tie that to my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like it. So
Yeah, it definitely would have been a place that you'd want to check out if you were visiting San Francisco or lived there, because it was just such a... it's weird that there's people just hanging out in like a balcony type thing, watching other strangers swim. But it must have been such a... what's it called? Like just a marvel, like an engineering and architectural marvel to see. Plus, if you're going to swim, might as well do it in some heated salt water or like ocean water.
it's progressively gets cooler.
Yeah. What are the stats? It was built in the 1890s. It was the largest indoor saltwater bath. And then, as Steve Haller, the historian, says, it burned in 1966.
Yeah.
Which
Steve Haller. Shot collar.
Holler at your boy.
No, shot collar. 20-inch rims on the Impala.
Was this Mace? Who sang that?
Come on.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Oh, is that Ja Rule? Who is it for
We're gonna
real?
make ourselves look stupid. Because I forget who it is. I just know the song.
Honestly, this does not even deserve a that's amazing look up bumper.
It does.
Sound effect.
Lil Troy.
Lil Troy. Never would have thought that's who it was. Okay. Anyway, super sidetracked. Sutro Baths. Sutro named after a guy with the name Sutro. What's his first name?
Karma?
Karma. Dude. Are you serious today? Oh, man. No.
No, it's not.
He was a silver baron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Either way, he wanted to just build this thing, this crazy bathhouse, and he did it. It's funny too because there was another silver miner guy that was talked about. Oh, that's a different episode. Sorry. Either way, his mining experience with silver mining in Nevada, I think, helped him kind of know how to design such a crazy thing that you mentioned it a second ago, that heating system where water's pumped in and then it's heated and then it just flows into successive pools and it slowly cools. So I want it the super hot, go in pool 1. I want it medium, go to pool 3, and then so on. I don't see the exact purpose of that. Is there really that much?
It sounds like a marketing thing. Like, hey, we're not going to heat all these. So,
one of the best, I think, descriptions of these ruins here is old Stevie Boy calls them a holistic, educational, recreational experience. And then as that wondrous phrase is being uttered, Huell is totally ignoring him, sees another hole in the ground with water in it, and just says, "What's that?" And then Steve has to just go over. That was one of those pools I was talking about. Anyway, it just has to try and get him back on track.
oh, that's funny.
And it's okay. One thing about this thing, it is at the very edge of San Francisco. It's on the western edge, and it's just straight up on the sea cliffs. And I remember thinking about it back then because it is kind of like a state park. But they ain't no rules to this place that I remember. You could just walk around on those little parapets and almost die the whole time.
Oh.
It seemed so dangerous while I was there. And
Where's it at exactly?
If you just go in the, where the Presidio is in San Francisco?
Yeah. Is that the place where if you live there, no one will come visit you?
What?
Because it's kind of far out, right?
Oh yeah, it's actually the furthest you can go northwest in the peninsula, that general area. There's also a giant windmill out there.
Oh,
I forget the story behind that, but that was what we saw after this. It's in Golden Gate Park. For people who.
Oh yeah, I took a picture in the roses.
Yeah, it's right around
there.
the corner from there. See, yeah, right there. You just looked up on the map.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I see.
Yeah, just kind of the northwesterly corner of the peninsula.
Sutro Heights. Look at that.
Who would have thought, right? Do you have anything else on this place? It really is just an old burned down place.
Just the interviewers or the interviewees.
Oh yeah, there were just some other tourists there that Huell found.
Yeah. Well, and apparently these are the old guard of San Francisco. You don't see people like this anymore.
No.
And there's a guy, he was kind of funny, actually, the guy with the black leather jacket.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that, what did he say? You'd soak for hours and come out looking like a lemon.
I never heard that. Like, I've heard like getting all pruned up and stuff, but
And then people start laughing. It's just, oh my gosh, so funny. And there was the blue jacket guy. The blue jacket guy just, yeah, like a lemon. And then you get in that ice tank and come out like a porcupine.
what does that even mean? Like, all of a sudden there's bumps, like you have recesses in your skin, and then the cold water pops them out. That's how I'm imagining. Like, oh, I'm a lemon.
His hand gestures are, he just puts them out.
It's so silly.
So,
oh, man.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's not really it, is it? Huell had to throw in a little segmentette at the end.
Yeah, what was fly shacker? Fly?
That's how Huell says it. Fly shacker pool. Why was this thing around?
I don't know.
I don't get it. It was the largest pool in the world, the country.
It was big.
Yeah, it's funny that it was still just a saltwater pool. So they were just pumping salt water into a different thing than the ocean. Kind of like the baths.
And now it's a wonderful average-sized parking lot.
Right.
For the zoo.
Yeah, in San Francisco Zoo, there's a parking lot, like the employee parking lot, and it's on top of this old pool, which was, like 1,000 feet long?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. Like, 15 feet is fine.
Yeah.
Just turn around and swim. Just keep turning around. Either way, it almost... I'm glad Huell put this in because we didn't have to hear that silly intro music again, which I was down with.
You weren't down with, or you're down
I'm
with?
down with the fact that we didn't have to hear it
Oh,
again.
okay.
It just really was not my style. Jessica Rabbit, no thank you.
It's just their whole set, the whole get-up. It's clothes and everything.
Yeah, oh yeah. What did I call them? I called them pastel couple singing odd uke version is how I wrote it. Because they're wearing like all pastel colors. And that's the pools, man. That's every California pool of all time. Well, the ones that matter anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So, where are we going next week?
Next week, we're going all over the place because it's all about California firsts. We're starting in one of your favorite counties of the whole state, Riverside County, to find the first orange tree that started the entire orange boom and industry in California.
Dang.
Then we're finding the first gold that was discovered, air quotes, hardcore, because we find out that that's not exactly true.
Ooh.
Spoiler alert on that one. Then we find the first black gold or oil drilled oil hole. Mm-hmm. Is what it is. And then the first powerhouse.
Okay.
Yeah. How can I put this?
So fun?
It will take some doing on our part to make some of these sound very exciting. Because Huell's very good at making things sound exciting. Some are just a hole in the ground or an old power plant.
All right. Well,
Not to
best.
discourage you. Like, it's still Huell. It's Huell up the yin yang, and this is the debut of the Richard Chon version of the theme that we talked about for like a year now. That becomes the version of the whole series from then on out.
That's cool.
And you can tell they were super stoked on getting this because they use it like 7 times in the episode. It's so many times. But that's it.
Cool. Well,
You excited?
Yeah, I got the dog on me.
Oh,
right
Louie
now.
the dog. Louie, come here. He just bit the microphone. Okay, so...
Let's get out of here. We
Oh,
wasted
God, I know.
too much of...
Sorry, people. Hour-long episode.
time.
Come along with us next week and every week. This week in
search for
Huell's Gold.